What's up, everyone? This is the year in wrestling 1994, part 5, I believe. Hopefully I'm not wrong about what part of 94 this is. This is my last video on 1994. I'll be back with the 1995 part 1 probably on Tuesday or Wednesday. I'll put it up on my channel. This is my last video on 1994. I'm going to start it off talking about November 20th, All Japan Women's. I guess they're part of All Japan Pro Wrestling, but they were called All Japan Women's. They draw 42,500 fans to the Tokyo Dome for the biggest show in the history of women's wrestling. The 10-hour, 23-match card is headlined by a top tournament of champions in the finals. Some woman's name I cannot pronounce defeated. I am not even going to try to say her name. Whatever. Also, who was on the card was Bull Nakano. Defeated Medusa to become the WWF Women's Champion. That was on November 20th, 1994. A really big women's show from Japan in the Tokyo Dome. And it lasted 10 hours. I can't imagine sitting through 10 hours of being at a live wrestling show and sitting there for 10 hours and watching 23 matches. That is way too long. But whatever. They did it. Right after, after November, on December 3rd, 1994, after more than a decade with the WWF, the Macho Man Randy Savage makes his WCW debut on a live WCW Saturday night. So Macho Man left WWF. He was there from late 85 to late 94. So he was there a really long time. 8-9 years he was there. And obviously everybody knows Macho Man left because WWF at the time was going in a new direction. They were going into the new generation and they were pushing younger talent. They didn't want Macho Man around. Hogan already was in WCW and left. So Macho Man was like the last veteran, the last legend, the last old guy. He wasn't that old. He's in his 40s. But WWF considered him old. So he was like the last old veteran from the 80s in the WWF to go and to leave for WCW. Bret Hart was there and throughout the 80s in the WWF. He was a veteran and Bret Hart was still around and in his prime in 94, 95, and 96. Even 97, when Bret Hart turned heel, he was still in his prime. So Macho Man signs with WCW on December 3rd, 94. In June 94, Hulk Hogan signed with WCW. So two top stars, two of the biggest stars in wrestling history, Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage, jump to WCW in 1994. Now I'm going to talk about the last pay-per-view of 94. WCW Starrcade. Took place on December 27th, 1994 from Nashville, Tennessee. First match was Big Van Vader, the challenging Hacksaw Jim Duggan for the United States Championship. Big Van Vader would defeat Hacksaw Jim Duggan to become the new United States champion. I was happy for Vader. That was cool that he won the U.S. title. Up next, Alex Wright defeated Triple H, a very, very young Triple H, but he wasn't known as Triple H at the time. Alex Wright defeats Jean-Paul Lafec, or whatever the hell his name was. Jean-Paul Lafec. He had like the same Hunter Hearst Helmsley type gimmick. He was acting like he was better than everybody. He was acting like he was a blue blood. So he had like the same type gimmick in WCW. And it was the right decision for him to leave WCW and go to the WWF in '95. Because the WWF was in a lot better shape in '95, but business was way down. But it wasn't that bad. Because for their main pay-per-views, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, 94, 95, WWF was still drawing sellouts for their pay-per-views. So business wasn't that bad. But business was bad because of all the god-awful gimmicks, cartoonish storylines that the WWF was doing. Back to Starrcade, 94. So Alex Wright defeats a very young Triple H. If you want to see that match, check it out on the network if you have the WWE network. Television champion Johnny B. Bad defeated Arn Anderson. So Johnny B. Bad retains a TV title. The Nasty Boys defeat the World Tag Team Champions Harlem Heat by disqualification. So they did not win the titles. Harlem Heat, Nasty Boys, I thought they always had good matches and good matches and entertaining matches that were entertaining. Some were brawls most of the time, but some were good matches. Good tag team matches. Good tag team wrestling from the Nasty Boys and Harlem Heat in WCW. Mr. T, for some reason, WCW had Mr. T work a match at Starrcade 94. I have no clue why, and it shouldn't have happened, but it did. And it was stupid. And it was all god-awful. The match was awful. Mr. T defeated Kevin Sullivan in 3 minutes, 48 seconds. That tells you right there that the match was shit. Next, Sting defeated the Avalanche. The Avalanche was Earthquake from the WWF. And after he was the Avalanche, then he became the Shark. And then after the Shark, I guess he became, I think they're John Tenta, his real name. And he might even had a gimmick where they didn't have a name for him and they were just calling him the man with no name. I didn't get it. But Earthquake had way too many gimmicks in WCW, but he could still go, he could still wrestle. He wasn't in his prime, but he could still go. So I don't blame Earthquake for wanting to go to WCW to get some work, because WWF did not want him anymore, or they did not renew his contract. So Sting defeats Avalanche by DQ, and it was a pretty entertaining match. It wasn't that good, but it was okay. World Champion. Now this was the main event of Starrcade 94. It shouldn't have been. This was not a Starrcade type main event. It was not very good at all, even though I'm a big Hulk Hogan fan. Hulk Hogan, defending the WCW World Championship, defeated his former friend that turned on him earlier. He was wearing a mask. In 94, he attacked him with a pipe at a Clash of Champions. There's Brutus Beefcake under the mask. And at Starrcade, he finally had the mask off. And I don't know what the hell. I guess his name was the Butcher or something. They were calling him Brother Brudai because of his former name, Brutus Beefcake. but I think he was known as the Butcher at Starrcade 94. Or whatever the hell his name was. He had like 50 gimmicks in WCW and they were all bad. So Hulk Hogan defeats his former friend Brutus Beefcake, whatever the hell they were calling him. Hulk Hogan defeats him and retains the WCW World Championship. I believe Kevin Sullivan came out to ringside to try to attack Hulk Hogan, and Avalanche came out, I think, because right after Starrcade 94 they'd start the Dungeon of Doom, and that group was god-awful. But whatever, it was, Dungeon of Doom was so bad, but WCW's trying anything and trying to do any type of anything. They were just throwing shit at the wall and they wanted to see what would stick and what would work. The Dungeon of Doom did not work. But it wasn't that bad. Jimmy Hart was their manager. It was decent. It wasn't as bad as the Core, a group like that. But Dungeon of Doom was pretty bad. And then right after that, gratefully, it's a good thing they started the NWO and got rid of the Dungeon of Doom. And so Kevin Sullivan, Avalanche, and the Butcher, I guess, were about to jump. Hulk Hogan, Arn Anderson even may have came out. They were all going to jump Hulk Hogan, and then Randy Savage ran down to the ring. His WCW debut. He did not wrestle at Starrcade 94, but it was his WCW debut. He ran to the ring with a chair, and he had the chair. He was holding it, and some people thought he was going to hit Hulk Hogan with it. I did not. I did not think Randy Savage was coming to WCW to be a heel. It just would have not worked. So Randy Savage had the chair, and he turned and hit, I believe, Kevin Sullivan. Started hitting all the heels with the chair, took them all out, and then he celebrated and started posing with Hulk Hogan in the ring, and that ended Starrcade 94 with Hogan and Randy Savage, formerly the Mega Powers in the WWF, posing in the ring in WCW. So not only did WCW now have Hogan, they also got Macho Man Randy Savage, a mega superstar. He had the Slim Jim commercials. Everybody saw them. Everybody knew when they heard the Macho Man's voice. Everybody probably knew that's the Macho Man. So they got a big star, and it did help WCW having the Macho Man, because he could still go and he could still put on great matches, and he was still a great worker in 95 and 96. So that was Starrcade 94, the final pay-per-view of 94. Now I'm going to talk about some of the Pro Wrestling Illustrated Achievement Award winners. Wrestler of the Year for 1994 was Hulk Hogan. Obviously, he came to WCW and he defeated Ric Flair in his first match in WCW for the world title. Runner-up in 94 was Bret Hart. Tag Team of the Year for 94 was the Nasty Boys. Runners-up were the Head Shrinkers. Match of the Year for 94 was Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon ladder match from WrestleMania 10. I agree with that. It was a great match. One of the first ladder matches on a WWF pay-per-view. Runner-up was the Nasty Boys versus Cactus Jack and Max Payne. I guess that's from Spring Stampede 94. It was a hardcore brawl. I didn't really consider it a runner-up for Match of the Year because it was just a brawl. But Pro Wrestling Illustrated did. Or maybe the fans voted on it. I don't know. Feud of the Year for 94 was Bret Hart versus Owen Hart. Obviously, that should have won, and it did win. It was a great feud. It was a highlight of 1994. Was the Bret Hart-Owen Hart feud was definitely a highlight in 94. And there were not that many highlights in 94. It was not that exciting of a year, but it was exciting because you had the WrestleMania 10 and the ladder match and the Bret Hart-Owen feud and Hogan jumping to WCW, winning the title, and Randy Savage also jumping to WCW. So those four things right there made 94 pretty exciting. Most popular wrestler of the year is, for 94, most popular was Sting. I agree, Sting was super over in 94. Fans loved him. Runner-up was Bret Hart. Most hated wrestler of the year for 94 was Bob Backlund. He won the title at Survivor Series and lost it. Probably 3 weeks later, 2 weeks later, he loses it at a house show in Madison Square Garden to Diesel, when Diesel defeated Bob Backlund in like 8 seconds. I believe he kicked him in the stomach and then jackknife power bombed him. 1, 2, 3. Diesel becomes the new WWF heavyweight champion in December 94 at Madison Square Garden at a house show. So Bob Backlund was voted most hated, but his title run only lasted like 3 weeks, maybe less. Runner-up for most hated was Owen Hart. Most improved wrestler of the year for 94 was Diesel. Runner-up was Johnny B. Bad. Most inspirational wrestler of the year for 94 was Bret Hart. Runner-up was Terry Funk. Rookie of the year for 94 was 911. He was in ECW. If you people never heard of 911, watch ECW TV from 94 on the WWE Network. You'll see and you'll find out who 911 was. Comeback of the year in 94, winner was Hulk Hogan. Runner-up was Bob Backlund. Runner-up for Rookie of the Year was Bob Sparkplug Holly. So that was the winners for 1994. I'll be back, as I said, with a part 1 of the 1995, the year in wrestling, in my series of videos of the year in wrestling. I started them in talking about 87, and when I started watching wrestling was in 87. So I've talked about 87 now up until the end of 94. That's a lot of videos, but I'm kicking off 1995. Will be up on this channel. You will see 1995 part 1 probably on Tuesday or Wednesday. I will upload it. Anyways, thank you for watching this video, the year in wrestling 1994 part 5. Have a good Monday, everybody. Enjoy Raw if you're going to watch Raw. I will be on Twitter for Raw at TNA WWE Guy. Follow me there if you want to read my tweets about Monday Night Raw. Bye for now, everybody.